What do you plan on talking about with the president?
Well, yeah, I'm asking to be named the Pope of Greenland.
Do you have a specific
No, I'm just having I mean, like, this is going to be the president. And I am not just the senator for Democrats in Pennsylvania. I'm the senator for everyone in Pennsylvania. And my state picked Donald Trump as president. And if I have the opportunity to have that conversation, and I bet we're going to find things to work together for a better Pennsylvania and a better nation. And that's why I'm engaging in this. Just like I've met with all of the nominees. It's about having a conversation with people that we are going to disagree on issues. I mean, that's what works.
This was a senator from Pennsylvania, Fetterman, John Fetterman, and he just met with Donald Trump. And the View's host have a surprising reaction to this. And he's probably gonna sue The View for their comment, and I'm glad to see it.
It is his son, after all, and people do have sympathy for that. But a lot of people are angry with him about it. What do you say?
Oh, well, I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated and weaponized that on the other side.
They'll say that about the J6 people too, though, right? That's what they're going to say on the other side. That is weaponized also.
I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about the New York trial, and now the Democrats on our side there were some that were gleeful, calling it like now he's a convicted felon and those things, and now for our party we were talking about criminal justice, and we are now talking about second chances, and now all of a sudden now you're like, well, he's a convicted felon and all these things. And now clearly, again, both of those trials, the Hunter Biden one and the trial in New York for Trump, that was politically motivated, and those kinds of charges would have never been brought unless one side could realize that they could weaponize that.
Senator. Exactly, he is 100% right about this. I think Joel Behar needed to hear this, and the ladies of The View are basically completely hypocritical and biased, and John Fetterman, even as a Democrat, sees that we have now to work with Trump and make the country great again. He's sound, he's realistic, he knows exactly what he has to do to work for his people.
Common sense. And I'd like to remind everybody that we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of migrants here illegally that have convicted of crimes. And why, I don't know why, who wants to defend that, to allow them to remain in our nation after that? And now if you're here illegally and you're committing crimes and those things, I don't know why anybody thinks that it's controversial that they all need to go.
Do you think that this was one of, if not the biggest issue for this election?
Well, I think if we can't, there's 47 of us in the Senate, and if we can't pull up with 7 votes, if we can't get at least 7 out of 47, and if we can't, then that's the reason why we lost. That's one of them. That's one of why we lost, in part.
I agree with him. I think he is very smart. I know he knows exactly what's going on. And if he is suing The View for all of their terrible comment on him, it's gonna be a great thing. Suing them is probably gonna do great for the people who believe that they are basically spitting nonsense all of the time. We will see what happens.
So throughout the weekend, Trump holding meeting after meeting over at Mar-a-Lago, and it wasn't just with Republicans. The president-elect says he had a fascinating conversation with Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman talking about the border, U.S. steel, and support for Israel. Trump telling the Washington Examiner that Fetterman is not a liberal or a conservative. He's just a common-sense person, which is beautiful. So throughout the weekend, Trump holding...
I think that was great comments. I think Trump and Fetterman meeting together was probably one of the best things that could happen for the Democratic Party right now after their huge loss on the election night.
John, How was Trump when you met with him face to face, sir?
Yeah, I mean, he was very gracious, and it was like a straight up, off the record conversation. I mean, we talked for over an hour, and in a private room, and it wasn't anything other than just an honest conversation. And I can only say good things emerging from that. And obviously, we have differences, and then we discuss things that we actually agree on some of those things. And that's really all about trying to deliver as many wins for Pennsylvania and for the nation. And that's where we're at.
I think that was great. I think it totally agrees. We can all agree that we don't have to agree with Trump 100% of the time to vote for him. But the left, the Democrats, have gone too far, succumbing to the disgrace that is the leftist extremist. And now people are realizing that Trump is the way to go to make the country back again, to bring change to the economy, to the border, to wars all over the world.
And then we can pass President Trump's agenda. But certainly we welcome Democrats to get a little bit of common sense, to shed their Trump derangement syndrome, and to work with Republicans to deliver on the priorities that the American people want to see accomplished. Border security, tackling inflation, cutting the waste, the fraud, and abuse out of our federal government, and returning to common sense policies. I give a lot of credit to Senator Fetterman for reaching across the aisle and saying a lot of what Donald Trump is saying makes sense. That's why he won the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in November. Democrats should take a page out of Fetterman's playbook. And as President Trump has always said, he will work with anyone who wants to deliver results and cut deals. He's a deal maker at heart, and he's willing to do that. Success is his ultimate priority, and he'll work with anyone to make this country successful and wealthy, safe, and strong again.
That's great to hear. That was beautiful. This is amazing to hear. Honestly, the Republican Party has been very welcoming from all people, from all sides. And people are now slowly realizing that they have to side with Trump if they want to do great things in the future and for the country. The co-hosts of The View have differing ideological background. They all know a thing or two about finding common ground, even if their topic discussions sometimes get testy in the process of meeting minds. Well, I'm not so sure about that one. When the subject of Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman's recent trip to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Donald Trump came up on Monday, they brought that to the table and chose some very, very surprising comments on this. The panel's list first reviewed a clip of Fetterman explaining his visit by saying, "This is going to be the president, and I'm just not the senator for Democrats in Pennsylvania. I am the senator for everyone in Pennsylvania, even those who voted for Donald Trump for president. And he needs now. We are going to find things to work together for a better Pennsylvania and a better nation." I applaud Senator Fetterman for thinking like this. I think this is great to work with Donald Trump for Pennsylvania, for the future of Pennsylvania and the future of America. "Most common sense answer I've heard," said Sarah Haynes. Continued her praise of Fetterman rationale by saying, "You're a senator and leading to 13 hearings of confirmation. Your job on paper is to advise and consent. That's all we ask, and that's what he's doing." Ana Navarro agreed in principle, but had some complaint. "I have to say, I don't like the optics of him going down to Mar-a-Lago because I think that because Donald Trump's little palace and he's like trucking down to Mecca to see the project." Well, I think that was completely rude of her to say things like this. That basically Fetterman would be kissing Donald Trump's ring just to meet with him in his new palace. That's utterly ridiculous. I think Fetterman is very smart and want to work in future with the president-elect for a better Pennsylvania, for a better nation. I truly believe he was totally right to meet with Donald Trump, even as a Democrat. Ronald Reagan famously had a very good relationship with Tip O'Neill, who was the Speaker of the House, a Democrat when he was president. When we saw Joe Biden work very closely with Mitt Romney, with Rob Portman, with many Republicans to get bipartisan legislation past. Navarro continued, the problem is Donald Trump is not normal. So what used to be normal becomes something that we talk about. I think John Fetterman, frankly, is right, but I hope that it does not mean that he won't call out the abuses of power and that he won't criticize him when there is legitimate criticism. Yes, I think legitimate criticism is fine, and I think Fetterman was right also to meet with Trump for a better country, for a better Pennsylvania. We will see what happens. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below this video. Do you think John Fetterman will be suing the View for this terrible comment? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy, and click right there to watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye.